if you had to advise somebody who was like the head of an organization, who had to, whose decisions really influenced, um, had a lot of responsibility and had to steward both people's lives and resources and things like that, what would you tell that person?
Just be kind.
Mm.
Be kind. Just that emotion of kindness, empathy. Clearly, one would have to make decisions of one sort or another, organizationally. But if you can take the people with you and do it with kindness, that will make the most enormous difference. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting at Breathworks, we've actually managed okay through the pandemic, but we've got a CEO working very, very hard. And, I keep on saying to her, you need to take some time off. You need to pace yourself, because that's the other thing. People at the top can think, I can't take any time off. I need to be here fighting the fires all the time. Everyone needs to have a break sometimes, if possible. And the thing we've really prioritized over the last year at Breathworks is kindness amongst the team, between us, kindness going out into the world. I think that's the most important thing at the moment, which is an interesting answer, isn't it? I'm not advising sort of structural things or organizational things or leadership things. I'm just saying, don't forget to be kind. Don't forget to be kind.
That's been a powerful lesson, I think, for many people over the last year, that whereas I think a lot of people, at least a lot of leaders, want to emphasize productivity, right? How do we get back to work? And maybe that's at this point really a secondary concern.
I think so. And it's interesting, New Zealand has done better than probably anywhere through all this. And their government messaging has been very, very good and a bit different. Like early on, their government messaging was be kind. That was one of their slogans. Like here, the slogans were stay at home, save lives, protect the NHS. They love these kind of 3-word slogans or 3-phrase slogans, which they are good, they're catchy. But in New Zealand, it was something like stay at home, save lives, be kind. Very interesting. They had government messaging about the emotional dimension of it. And that seems to have paid off because they got clearly people obeyed the rules, probably more than they have done here. And people were behind the government. I mean, they had a prime minister who was obviously empathetic, good at communication. And also what was interesting about her, as far as I can see, a good communicator, empathetic, but very decisive. So she didn't dither. She said very early on in the pandemic, we go hard and we go early. So they just lock down very quickly and very early. And they do every time there's another bubble up of the virus, they just shut everything down. Whereas here, there's been much more prevaricating. So that's also quite an interesting thing in a leader, to have this combination of empathy and kindness plus decisiveness. Yeah.
Yep. That it doesn't mean, I think a lot of people can hear that word and think, oh, it means a kind of weakness.
Yeah.
And when it's skillfully waged like that, in a way, you see that it's not the opposite of being a strong leader.
Yeah. And the sort of language I've been using more and more is becoming a warrior, a compassionate warrior. We need warriors in the world, not warriors, but warriors.
Yeah, that's right.
We need people who are really courageous and really strong and fearless. There's a kind of fearless quality we need at the moment, but one that's soft, a kind of soft fearlessness. I think that's what we need. And you can see kindness as a soft fearlessness, I think. It doesn't need to be soft and wishy-washy.
Yeah. That's a really profound message, especially for this country at this moment. Yeah. And, but the idea of being a warrior, and that's imagery that has really stuck with me for the last few years, like how to be a warrior of your own experience, but then in service to really helping the world deal with this.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting, like in even compassion, people see that as kind of soft and feminine, and men are particularly interested in it sometimes, or kindness. But I think that we need to sort of rebrand it,
Right.
because it's unbelievably brave, to turn towards suffering in yourself and in the world, and to meet that with a fearless, open heart and a light-hearted, this kind of ability to see it absolutely clearly, and then also not be overwhelmed, not push it away, not block it out, nor be overwhelmed, but stand in that ocean of truth in all its messiness and keep moving forwards. That requires such enormous bravery. And
that is, yes, I think oftentimes people in this mindfulness world really shoot themselves in the foot using language that for a lot of people is really off-putting. And for better or worse, for compassion isn't a big seller in a lot of places because it doesn't strike the right notes. And but whereas courage, I think, is a far more compelling thing for a lot of, especially leaders, right? Who don't want to be seen as a weak link in the chain, right? But it's really about courage, and compassion is rolled up in all of that.